Do we find the takings clause in the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution? Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Now, from this language, we find two criteria for the takings clause to be invoked. Private property must be taken, and it must be for public use. Was Ms. Baker's property taken? Not exactly. Her home wasn't taken, neither was anything inside taken. Her home was damaged by police. Was her home acquired for public use? Again, not exactly. The damage done to her home was done when the police were exercising their legitimate powers, but that isn't a taking for public use. An argument could be made that the police took control of her home temporarily for the purpose of exercising their public duty to apprehend a fleeing felon, but that does not meet the history or language of the takings clause. However, there's another clause in the Fifth Amendment that may apply, the Due Process Clause. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Ms. Baker has been deprived of her property by having it damaged and therefore devalued without due process of law. Furthermore, under Texas Penal Code, Title 7, Chapter 28, the actions of the police were criminal mischief. Section 28.03 defines criminal mischief as a person commits an offense if without the effective consent of the owner, he intentionally or knowingly damages or destroys the tangible property of the owner. In fact, the crime in this case is a third-degree felony. Later in that section we read, except as provided by subsections F and H, an offense under this section is a felony of the third degree if the amount of the pecuniary loss is $30,000 or more but less than $150,000. Does this mean that the officer should be charged with criminal mischief? No. It's obvious that the police were acting within the city's police powers. Because the parties agree that McKinney's police actions were objectively necessary, the Fifth Circuit concluded that Baker was not entitled to compensation. Baker now petitions for certiorari and asks this court to reverse the Fifth Circuit's judgment. While I agree with the Fifth Circuit's decision that this is not a compensatable action under the Fifth Amendment's takings clause, that doesn't mean the city of McKinney should be off the hook. Ms. Baker, however, asked the Supreme Court to hear the case known as a petition for certiorari.